Welcome to the cocktail of the day. Today we're going to make a classic. It's going to be the Manhattan. I told some of you that yesterday when I posted a picture of the Manhattan that I drank last night. This would be my version of a Manhattan. All the purists are going to write to me and say, no, you have to use a certain kind of whiskey. I'm going to make it the way I like to drink it. But before we get started, let's review last week's tool. I told you this was not an Antifa defense device, but it's a pretty mean little weapon if you wanted to use it that way, I suppose. Anyway, it's a cork puller, not really a corkscrew. If you see these tines, you slide these down the bottle into the bottle on the sides of the cork. Most waiters won't use this as their primary tool. They'll use a corkscrew. This is if they have a damaged cork. You can generally recover a cork with this, whereas a corkscrew really can mess things up. It becomes pretty important in a day when the waiters are very concerned about presentation because, as you know, a lot of wines are going to the screw cap. I asked a winemaker why they're going to the screw cap, and they said it's almost 100% effective. They do still get a lot of problems with corks. Bottles get corked, wines get corked. Almost sometimes as high as 8% failure rate. So they're switching. The only people that really complain about it are the restaurateurs because they say, how do you make a presentation with a screw cap? Anyway, I digress. Let's have the Manhattan the way I like it. Okay, we'll start with COVID clean hands. Some ice in a what I'm going to call a beer glass or just any old mixing glass will do. And we're going to start off with what I use Tennessee whiskey. I like Jack Daniels. It's my favorite. A lot of people prefer bourbon, and a lot of people stick with the pure rye. Any will do. I checked the IBA, the International Bartender Association, and they said you could use any of the three. So we're going to 2 ounces of whiskey, and then 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. A lot of people prefer Antica formula. I prefer the French sweet vermouth. I think they're a little smoother, have a little bit more flavor. So we'll put. Let's get the 1 ounce size. There we go, 1 ounce of that. And then we're gonna finish this off with some bitters. And you have to be careful with this stuff. This is really bitter. So you wanna do 2 dashes, 1, 2. And then we will stir that. Now, I think you've seen me enough to know the difference between stirring and shaking. When you just have alcohol, you stir. When you have some sort of a fruit juice, say when we were making the pina colada, then you shake. So we'll stir this using my Pierre Smirnoff cocktail spoon. And then we will strain that into a coupe. This is called a coupe. I've upgraded my barware, as some of you have noticed. And we'll pour that like that. And the recipe calls for a maraschino cherry, which I don't do. My production assistant has eliminated them from my refrigerator, so I'll try this. This is perfect. Make it just this way, and that's all you need to do. I'm not going to introduce a tool of the week because I'm pretty much out of them. You've seen about everything I own. So with that, to recap, 2 ounces, 1 ounce, 2 dashes. That's all you need. The drink actually started in the 1870s at a place called the Manhattan Club, hence the name. The Manhattan Club was a bastion of Democratic politicians. And the club actually lasted all the way through until the 1990s when it was disbanded because too many Republicans had joined and it was no longer a Democrat club, so they just disbanded it. The Manhattan Club took place in the Jerome Mansion, which is, if you're familiar with Manhattan, it's on the corner of, I think, 23rd and Madison, right across the street from Madison Square Park. Not the Gardens, but Madison Square Park. That lasted until 1996 when they raised the building. It's not there anymore. So we'll just call this my Manhattan. Thank you very much.
We'll have Manhattan, the Bronx and Staten Island too. It's lovely going through